Welcome to the Kindred Spirit Show. I'm your host, Hannah Mary, and I'm so glad to be here with you, my friends, today. I am a homeschool guru and mommy motivator, wife, daughter, sister to 4, and mama to 3. I help women succeed at their most meaningful job, motherhood. I believe you can have joy, clarity, and purpose in your home and schedule, that you have the capacity to raise your children like no one else. Let's make our motherhood a little more meaningful today. Hello, I am so excited because today I have my very first guest on the show, my siblings. This seemed like the most logical first guest episode since I talk so much about homeschool and family, and we were all homeschooled together. We are all currently sitting extremely awkwardly close to each other around my microphone to record this for you. Before we get going, I have a couple of housekeeping items for this episode. So number one is that this is a no parent zone. Mom and Dad are not here, and we're going to be sharing our honest-to-goodness opinions and thoughts on the topic today. So Mom, Dad, if you're listening, just know this is our disclaimer, and you can't come after us. We plead the fifth. Second, today, I have 3 of my 4 siblings with me. Megan is 3 years younger than me, Scott is 6 years younger than me, and Abby is 12, maybe 13 years younger. We were discussing this beforehand. I turned 13 the year she was born, so decide for yourselves. The sibling who is missing today is Matthew, and he is missing because Matthew has been overcoming autism since he was very little. He is mostly nonverbal, though much more verbal now than he was when he was little. So because of that, it would be really hard for him to share about his experience and thoughts on the episode today. However, I did want to at least mention that he's a part of our family, and if he comes up in conversation, that way you'll have a little bit of context for comments we may make about him. And with that, now that those are out of the way, I'm going to let my siblings share for just a second and introduce themselves to the world. Megan, let's start with you. Say hi and maybe share like what you do or a fun fact about yourself.
Okay. Hi everyone, I am Megan. I'm the second sibling. I am an author and I do a lot of work at the house. I don't really work a traditional job right now, but I enjoy living life with the rest of my siblings and with my parents and my family.
Awesome. Scott.
Hello, world, internet. My name is Scott. I am the middle child of 5. I currently work at Chick-fil-A, go chicken, and I do a lot of basic, normal, everyday stuff. I play video games, I watch movies, I read books, although not as much as I'd like. But yeah, I'm a pretty normal guy for the most part. I don't know if there's anything else that's really interesting about me.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for a spouse, Megan and Scott are both single. And then Abby, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Abby. I'm the baby of the family. I am a senior in high school, and I just do normal teenager stuff, listen to music, annoy my siblings, that fun jazz.
Awesome. Perfect. So obviously I'm the oldest, which is how I have enough pull to call this meeting of siblings for my podcast. And since you all know me, I'm going to skip introducing myself and just kind of set up this episode with some family history.
Joy!
Whoa.
Fun!
Are we going to talk about how many houses we lived in?
No. That's another episode. Okay. So our grandpa, my mom's dad, became a Christian when my mom was around 13. If I get any of these facts right, you guys just correct me.
Wrong. If you get any of them wrong, correct you.
Whatever. He went to school to become a Methodist pastor and became very dedicated to holding to the Bible. And he learned about some of the history of holidays and very much was convicted to stop celebrating pretty much every holiday you can think of on the traditional calendar. There's a scripture, and I totally forgot to look up the reference for this before we recorded this.
Oh, good grief.
Thanks, Scott. But there's a scripture that talks about not letting one day be more holy than another day. And so he really took that to heart and decided that holidays were just not really a thing they were going to be doing. So that was very much a part of at least my early years because I'm the oldest of all of us. So our family has shifted and adjusted over the years, but something our parents did that I think was simply brilliant in handling all of this is that we actually took a year when I was around 12 and studied all of the holidays on the calendar. I think this was brilliant because it made us look at each of these holidays objectively. It let us know that we could think for ourselves even if we didn't agree with the rest of the family. And it gave us a basis for studying things for ourselves that I think is just awesome. Now, for those of you who can do math,
Not
Abby
me.
was not born yet when the other three of us did this. So there are going to be some modifications in the way that she addresses some of the stuff we're chatting about today because she wasn't around for this particular year and activity. Okay, so first off, Megan and Scott, do you remember doing this assignment?
I remember that we have studied holidays a lot throughout our childhood. I don't necessarily remember the exact unit that you're talking about, but for the most part, yes. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I remember doing it. I don't necessarily remember details, but I definitely remember doing it. I remember doing the Jewish holidays more, but I do remember we did this one.
So what I remember, and since they can't necessarily confirm everything, this could be interesting, but what I remember is we did an actual unit study of each holiday, and we're going to focus in on Christmas today because that's the time of year we're in right now. And what I remember is that we wrote, I don't remember if we did this at the beginning, but definitely at the end, we had to write, or at least I had to write, like basically a thesis, like saying what I believed about each of the things we had studied. And what I thought, like after having gone through this study. I think I had to do that also at the beginning. I think she made us do a beginning page and then an end page to like see if anything changed.
Since I was 6, I probably just gave like verbal confirmation for that.
Probably, yeah.
My writing skills didn't kick in till like 7
Yeah.
or 8.
I believe that I just wrote a summary of what I believed the holiday was about before and after. Because, again, I was younger than you.
This is what happens in homeschool, people. Okay. So, just thinking back on that assignment, even though you don't necessarily remember it extremely well, what like stands out to you the most about going through that Christmas like unit study and studying out like all the different traditions and stuff?
Well, remembering that Christmas did not start out as a Christian holiday. It was very much so pagan based. There was a lot of winter festivals that revolved around the Christmas tree because it was always green, and so they worshipped it in pagan festivals. A bunch of other different stuff in that, and how Christianity came along and incorporated that into the celebration of Jesus' birth, but they put not a twist on it for Christianity, but they definitely reworked everything to
Modified it.
symbolize the Christian roots that they believed in, so that the pagans were like, oh, so this is what this represents for them.
I remember all that. Quite honestly, I remember learning that most of our current holidays, and especially Christmas, came about because the Catholics did not want to lose people out of their church. And I think historically that's really interesting, but also really like ironically funny, because the Catholics like have the largest amount of people now, and it could be basically based on that, but I really think that even if they hadn't, they would have succeeded with what they were trying to do.
So for me, I think the thing that stands out the most about the assignment was definitely the part where we studied Santa Claus. I think that was the most interesting to
Yes.
me. Like studying the different traditions and how like now we have this conglomerate of different things that became Santa Claus, and so I found that to be really, really interesting. I think I remember that the best out of all of them, and I still have like my summary pages, so like my opening and ending page and like some of the pages I did in between. Mom gave them to me when she was done, like when she cleaned out my records and just kept what she needed. So I have quite a bit from that study actually still, like in my own personal stuff, which is kind of fun. So then the next thing I want to do, and Abby, you can kind of jump in on this one.
Cool.
Is talk about how your view, and not necessarily like what our family does, but your view of Christmas particularly, how it's shifted since way back then, what things have changed for you, or like for you, Abby, like what things have shifted for you like over your short life.
17 years isn't that short.
Not that long.
So let's just kind of go through like some things that have shifted for you personally, and how you kind of align that with like your values, your beliefs.
So I think for me, the thing that has changed the most, like view-wise, is probably the Christmas tree. Because whenever I was little, we didn't really do a Christmas tree, and I always thought, Christmas trees were really bad, and, like, you weren't supposed to have a Christmas tree. It was, like, a sin if you had a Christmas tree. It's not, but, I've learned recently that, like, it's okay to have a Christmas tree as long as you're not worshiping it and making that the center of attention for Christmas, because Christmas is supposed to be about learning about the birth of Jesus and how that affects us as Christians. So, that's probably the biggest thing that has changed.
Probably for me, the most things that have changed is I've noticed the commercialization of Christmas a lot more now that I'm older, which really sucks. If you know me at all, I like my holidays in order, and I don't. This is a personal rant. The family knows about this, and so I hate that Christmas has started celebrating in November, even now in October. If anyone knows my grandmother, they know that she loves Hallmark, and Hallmark has decided that Christmas has to be celebrated at least 5 times a year. And so I don't like that aspect of Christmas, because like Abby said, Christmas for me happens in December, and it's the process of leading up to learning about Jesus and the birth and all the things that go on around that. And so I really have to keep myself from being cynical about the Christmas season, because otherwise I don't like it, and that's really sucks for me, because Christmas is a great holiday.
I think Christmas is definitely like the best holiday of the year. I think everyone can agree on that. I think something that is very sad to me is that I've noticed even people who are Christians and who should be celebrating Jesus' birth, they don't really think about Christmas as, oh, this is when we celebrate that Jesus came so that he could die for us and save us. Mm-hmm. They celebrate it as, oh, there's Santa and elves and gifts, and they leave out the most important part of that. And I think noticing that just makes me sad for the people around me, because they're missing the best part of Christmas.
That's good.
Hey, are you there? I need to share with you the hardest thing about homeschooling. Records. Ooh, they can feel hard to keep up on, plus remembering what you want to keep track of can be super difficult. If you're struggling to know where you're going in your homeschool journey or need help tracking your child's learning and achievements, I have amazing news for you. How to Record Keep, my downloadable PDF book, is available now. It's only $15 and has over 20 printable pages to help you plan, track, and assess your child's academic activities. Don't wait to grab it, because the price won't last long. Feel confident in your journey and do less work, because it's all here for you in How to Record Keep. Grab your copy today.
So for me, I would say that almost all of my, well, I don't want to say all, but almost all of my views on the things that we studied in that study have shifted, not like total 180, but like just changed over time. And they've changed again as I've had kids and have started to like plan our holidays. So for those who might not know, I am the oldest, and I'm also the only one who has kids out of all of us. Again, Scott and Megan are single.
This is not a dating site, it's a podcast.
Christian Mingle is a completely different site.
Okay. Anyway, but I'm the only one with kids in our family so far. So for me, I've also had the added perspective of what do I do with my kids and how do we approach the holidays. And so I think for me, that's been like a secondary shift. I think that I've noticed a lot more where I've I've relaxed like my anti view on a lot of things because I realized they just kind of fall under like the origin fallacy where it's like, well, just because they started there doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, like and evil, like things like the Christmas tree and like mistletoe and stuff. Like it doesn't necessarily make them evil, and so I think I've shifted on that a good deal. We've done a Christmas tree at our house pretty much every year I've been married, which is something that we never really did as our family before I got married. So I definitely have shifted on some things, but I also feel like I can square them up with my beliefs, and like you said, like I still can keep the main thing, which is important. There are other things that my views haven't shifted on, or I've even gotten like tighter on, like we don't do Santa Claus at our house. And I feel like my argument against Santa Claus has actually gotten broader and bigger, and not like, it's not like the same point I would have given you at like 17 or 20. Like, and now that I've thought it through from like the parenting perspective, it's even a broader thing why we don't do it. But I've also let some things in, like we watch The Grinch every year, which our mom hates The Grinch.
Well, our mom also hates Jim Carrey, so there's
that's
That's
a
very
thing.
true.
So we do like a Grinch night every year, but we also like we make it a family dinner. We talk about like the good and the bad in the movie. Like we make a deal of it. So that's different than just like, I'm gonna sit here and watch this movie. You know, like we
Make a lesson out of it.
make a lesson out of it. Yeah.
Homeschool life.
Right. Okay. So having gone through kind of all of that, I want to go through a couple of like the different things that we studied or have talked about, and kind of talk about our personal thoughts on them, just to kind of give people an idea of like where we're kind of sitting right now, and then maybe someday in the future, if podcasts still exist, we'll come back and do another episode, like after you
Sounds
guys
good.
have kids or
Sounds good.
something. We can talk about it then.
So in a
Cool.
couple
That's
years.
going to be a while.
I know. Well, forever, that's going to be a long while. So let's start here. We've all kind of already touched on this one, so if you have a thought, great, and if not, we'll just kind of move on.
Okay.
We'll do these kind of like rapid round, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Christmas tree.
I used to think that it was evil and should not be in my house, but I've relaxed my views on that. It's not evil, like Abby said, as long as you keep Jesus the main thing and not the tree, then it's a tree.
Right.
Yeah, I like it as decoration, honestly. I've seen some that are really, really pretty. I'm not of the mind that just because it started as a bad thing means it has to be a bad thing for you. I think it's personal to each person, so you gotta weigh that.
Oh, also real tree over fake tree every time.
No, fake tree.
What?
Fake tree.
Fake tree.
The real one is
Easier to
fire
clean
hazard.
up. It's easier to clean up, and then you don't have to buy a new tree every year.
Yeah, but
Okay, the
mine's
consensus is fake tree. I hope you heard that.
3 over 1.
Yes.
And it's the girls over the one guy in here, so
Yes, that's my entire life story.
we still love you.
For me, we have a tree. Last year, 2 years ago now, I got one of those really cheap, really cute flocked trees from Walmart, and it is life-changing, people. I love my snowy tree. It is wonderful. We also use our tree to put ornaments on for our Jessie tree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is something our family has always done. It's basically an activity to trace the lineage of Jesus and celebrate him coming. And I'm doing a whole other sister episode to this one, talking about what my family does, so I'm not going to sit on that one too long. And we also use it, we started last year, we do what we call monument ornaments. So like drawing from Joshua, where they set up the monument to the Lord on the other side of the river. And so we go, all of us, to the store, we buy an ornament that represents what God did for us that year, and we add a tag to it and hang it on the tree. So
That's actually a really good idea.
Fun.
I saw that on the internet, guys. Not
The
even-
internet,
the
great
internet.
place.
Thanks,
Sometimes.
internet. Thank you. Okay. Santa Claus.
The actual Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, is a really cool guy, very big heart, did a lot of really good things. The modern day Santa Claus,
Commercialized Santa Claus.
I'm gonna hit on that a couple of times. Is not, I'm not a fan of. It's kind of a platform where you start lying to your kids, basically, that this guy comes down your chimney and gives you presents. And that's degrading to the parents because they spent a lot of money and time on those gifts, and they should get credit for where credit is due.
He's just gonna preach my sermon for me. Go ahead.
B, lying to your kids about something that big later in life when they find out about it might impact them in ways that you don't want them to impact it. And so for those reasons and probably more, I don't like Big Saint Nick. I'm not a big Christmas movie guy with him in it. I like my Christmases without Santa Claus.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to be too harsh. Okay, so so what Scott said about Saint Nick is yes, because Saint Nick was a great guy and he was an actual person who actually did great things, and I think you should teach your kids about that because that would actually show the true meaning of Christmas, which is being kind and doing good things, as well as the coming of Jesus. Commercialized, Santa Claus is I'm not a fan. I do not like Santa Claus for the sole reason of parents lying to your kids because yes, Hannah, I am shaking my
Guys,
hands.
seriously, if you couldn't tell, we were all raised by the same people. We're clearly big on telling the truth to your children. Go ahead.
Well, so lying to your kids about something that is meaningful to them as a kid is impressionable, and it could affect them in the way that they wouldn't think that you would lie to them, and then whenever they find out that you did, then it can really impact your relationship with them. And not to mention, it's just not nice to lie to your kids. I mean, you should tell them the truth. And people always say, like, well, lie to your kids while they're young about Santa Claus because it's for it's for fun. And it's not fun to lie to your kids, I wouldn't think. I mean, I wouldn't want my parents to lie to me about something. I would want them to tell me the truth.
Right.
And to tell me what they think about that, and to not lie to me about that, just so that I can have a few fun moments. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that.
I think that's everyone's opinion on that in here. But can I
Yes.
just point out something that kind of goes hand in hand with the Santa thing? Elves. Does that confuse anyone else?
Yes.
Like, elves came from German humanoid spirits, okay? How did they end up in Christmas?
I don't get that either.
I don't get that.
But also, I need to know why elves have pointy hats and long ears.
I don't get the long ears. I think is original to the mythology, but I don't get the hats.
Yeah, and why?
Elves confuse me.
Hold on, but also, why do they live in trees and make cookies? I need to
Right?
know. This
I
too.
don't understand.
And have, like, mini gift-making shops. Like, what?
Yes, what is up with this? Okay.
My real issue with elves is the size differences between elves. Like, you have tall elves or you have midget elves.
It has to
or
do.
a hobbit,
Okay,
basically.
I do know this one because as the writer of studied mythology, it has to do with where they're pulling the mythology from in the
Oh.
world. So
Never mind.
Well,
Answer,
that
question
made more
answered.
sense.
Intriguing.
All right. Mistletoe. What do we feel about mistletoe?
okay, I'm gonna start this one because I've always thought that mistletoe is actually one of the most romantic traditions at Christmas.
Yes.
Because I'm a hopeless romantic, and so I'm like, oh, mistletoe, that's so adorable. Like, can I have a husband so that I can kiss him under the mistletoe? So far, no, but here we are.
So, husband, if you're listening...
I think we've established this is not Christian mistletoe, but
Mistletoe is a very poisonous plant, but it's also very attractive, and so it's a great decoration for Christmas. I personally have never had anyone to kiss under mistletoe. I'm not sure if Hannah's talked about this or not, but dating is a very different topic in our family than...
we'll do an episode on that.
Yeah.
So I've never had a girlfriend or significant other to go and kiss under the mistletoe.
Not to mention, no kissing before marriage.
Again. Another episode.
I think we're seriously rabbit trailing.
But I don't have any qualms with hanging mistletoe in your house.
I
don't-
think it's pretty. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never really had qualms with mistletoe. Like Megan said, it's really romantic.
And it's
for
a plant, I mean.
Christmas time. I mean, it's
Right.
Can it
not
kill
that big
you?
of a deal, I
Yes.
don't think. But so can love.
So you're saying it's the perfect symbol.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, Christmas lights.
Love, 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 love.
I agree. I've always loved going to see the Festival of Lights that we have in town around here because I love to look at the pretty bedazzling lights that are in shapes and large sizes.
I think I love Christmas lights because it's one of the darkest times of the year, and they just light it up
Right.
and make it so much more cheery.
Mhm.
And I mean, you can take a sermon from them and be like, Jesus, the light of the world. So like,
They were cool.
They work.
Yeah,
both
we
ways.
we like Christmas lights in this house.
Christmas lights are fun. Personally, if I ever have a house/apartment, I wouldn't hang any outside. I'm very subtle in my decorating. I'd hang some inside, though.
No, they gonna be all over my house.
Abby is not subtle. In case you haven't picked that up yet.
I'm aggressive. It's okay.
And then finally, gifts.
I mean, what is Christmas without giving gifts? We are given the gift of Jesus, and it's only right that
Well,
we
just-
give gifts to others.
All right. Okay, so
All right.
none of us have anything else to say.
Well, and on top of that, at least one of us is a gifts love language person.
Oh, I am
You
too.
are too, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 2 out of the 4 of us are a gifts love language, so we're like, yes to the
Gifts.
gifts.
So I love receiving gifts, but I love giving gifts. I love to
Yes.
see
Mhm.
other people's faces whenever I've put hard work into. Also, homemade gifts over store-bought gifts are almost always better. I love
True story.
homemade gifts.
Yes.
Because it's personal and like you can personalize it for that person. Anyway,
Yes.
back on topic. So I love watching other people open their gifts because you can
Mhm.
see like
Mm-hmm.
the joy that you've brought them and like
Yes.
you've given them something that they actually like, and so I love gifts at Christmas
And
time.
on top of that, it teaches you to be generous and not selfish. So
Exactly.
Very good. Okay, so closing thoughts. Anything you guys want to say that we didn't say or that you want to add?
Just, again, I really love Christmas. It's a great holiday. It's a great time to be around family and friends and do nice things for other people, which is one of my love. Like, I love doing things for others.
honestly, I think we covered most of it because, you know, it's a topic that we all discuss often. So
Yes.
I think we covered most things. We should probably say, like, Merry Christmas season to the people that are listening.
Well, and like also just one final
Yeah.
thing. Just remember to take time to remember why you're celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
And to like actually examine why you're celebrating and if you're celebrating for the wrong reasons or the right reasons. And to spend time with family and just have a good season.
Well, thank you guys for coming and chatting with me today.
Of
Of
course.
course.
It's our
Well,
pleasure.
Definitely have to do this again. You don't even work at Chick-fil-A.
It rubs off from him.
Yeah. We will definitely have to do this again. So we will come back and record more things in future. Thank you guys for being with us today. We hope that you were encouraged to talk about this stuff with your kids, to really think about the holidays and what you do. There will be another episode coming out that's a sister episode to this one, where I'm going to talk through what my family, my immediate family, me and my kids, what we do for the holidays, and give you guys some resources. And I hope you'll listen to that one as well. And we will see you guys, well, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening today. I hope you found a little encouragement from today's topic. If you like this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe to it. If you absolutely loved this episode, leave a review. I love reading what you guys have to say about the show. I appreciate your support so much. You can find more from me at foreverkindredspirits.com, including the show notes from this episode, free downloads, and online courses. If you want to join the conversation, you can find the Kindred Spirits Show Facebook group in the show notes for this episode. I will see you next week. I'm always rooting for you.